Hello, my name is Scuria-Herman, and today I will be speaking on the topic of sleeping in entertainment. Now, it's a very niche thing. Originally, I was going to do a different topic. I was stewing on it for most of yesterday. I woke up today and completely forgot the whole thing. So, I consulted my list, and saw one of the more minor things. I'm just going to make a quick video on it, because this is one of the parts of literature that interests me. Because it's something you wouldn't think would be that big of a deal, at least from like an outside perspective. I don't know if I consider myself an outsider because I'm going to college for this and I've spent a lot of my life looking at stuff like this, but as a newcomer, I guess would be better than outsider. But sleeping entertainment, a great example of this is the Odyssey. It's a deconstruction of a hero to have them sleep or to have them eat. Because periods of rest are antithetical to the existence of heroes. Let me explain. Heroes are supposed to be like demigods, like larger than life. These powerful, unstoppable creatures, the forces of nature. But then you want to write, human characters. Like, if you're like me, you can't have them both in the same way. But if you want to make a layered protagonist, the way you do it is by introducing human needs. That's sleeping in entertainment, which is why the symbolism of a character sleeping or a character eating is always going to be important in any show. If it's like a sitcom or something, these characters, you're going to see them sleeping and eating a lot because you're supposed to find them humorous. You're supposed to find them, appreciable. If there's a character that is going against the grain, a villain character chewing the scenery, that character might eat. You're probably not going to see that character sleep though, because that's a moment of vulnerability. But the importance of sleeping is just more than people would think, just because it shows that this character is human. That's why I brought up the Odyssey, is because the Odyssey takes place over decades as Odysseus is trying to get back to Ithaca. And we're seeing him, eat, sleep, all these things, which was very much against the grain of heroes of that time, because he was overall very, I wouldn't say anti-hero, but very opposed to heroic standards, because he also wasn't brash or all-powerful. His power came from cunning. He was, known as the most resourceful man in Greece. It's always going to be a deconstruction of a character, of a genre, of a scene when you have a character sleep or eat. Because you're placing human needs onto this supposed to be larger than life character, and it brings them back to life to introduce life to them, if that makes sense. And nowadays we do see a lot more sleeping and eating in media, but that's mostly because we're not getting the same story structures that we used to. There's not really as many heroes. If you want to think of an archetypical hero, there's going to be very few scenes of them ever sleeping or eating. The only time they'll sleep is when they sleep with someone, and even then there's not going to be really a scene of just them sleeping in a bed, because again, it's not good content, but at the same time it's showing this character in a state that opposes the heroism they're supposed to portray, because it shows them living as a human. I'm someone who likes to write humans. I'm not saying I don't like to write heroes, but I would put someone's humanity over their heroism in writing them. So I would focus on sleeping and eating in my works, And there's a lot of like talk about like, I guess, cooking, but not in that kind of way. A lot of talk of cooking, a lot of talk of like beds and stuff in the works that I've done. Talks of like exhaustion, hunger, not the Newt Hampson hunger, but technically, because it is referential to that. Regardless, my point that I'm trying to make here, and then I'll get out of here. My point is, sleeping carries a symbolism with it that is oft forgot, because you can too easily cast it aside as like, oh, it's just a human process, and there's no deeper anything to that. Except there almost always will be, because of the importance that's placed onto it due to its lack of presence in media and entertainment. I just found that interesting. The historical implications of that. It's not really in, style anymore, really, but there is still like some remnants of it in current media with how certain characters are portrayed, sleeping and eating. The literary concepts of it still stand and are still true, but it's just not something that's a focus so much anymore. But it's still interesting to know. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I wish I could remember my original video topic, but maybe it'll come to me after I finish and edit this, and then I'll have to wait another 6 days to film it, and then by then I'll have forgotten again. Or I could write it down, because I do have this whole thing. I wrote down energy drinks and I didn't even cross it off. Alright. That's all I have to say about that. Let me know, because I don't know if I've gotten an on the topic of idea from the comments section besides CCOT. So let me know if you want me to talk about anything. Because part of the point of the series is for me to explore things that I don't know. That's something I do know because I took a class on it. But I want to know what I don't know, because then I know it. Yeah, I'm rambling. That's going to be all from me. So until next time. What? Okay. That messed up. Sorry. Excuse me. Until next time. Adieu.